This video is sponsored by the Magic Candle Company. Visit themagiccandlecompany.com and use offer code OFFHAND for 15% off of your order. That's right. But let's keep this deal between you and I. We don't need to be going and telling everybody out on the street about this, okay? Let's just keep this between us. I just hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse. Wait, no, that's not right. That it was all started by a man. No, that's not right either. Okay. I can only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it all started during the early days of the Disney fandom on the internet. Yeah, that's good, that'll work. You know, while I may be able to travel back and forth between different universes and dimensions, the entirety of the multiverse, I cannot travel through time. That's more of a Time Lord thing, and I can say that now because it's going to be on Disney Plus. It's a Disney thing, if you think about it. If I could go back in time, though, there would be one place I would visit first. Disneyland, 1970, to ride the People Mover. But the second place I would visit would be Walt Disney World, Epcot, in the 80s and 90s, just to bask in that new, abandoned, empty, old shopping mall feel that Epcot had back then. You see, back in the day, the Disney parks were special, okay? Back then, they were unique. They were interesting. I mean, they still are, but they were back then also. And one of the things that got me to where I am today, being so interested in Disney and Disney history, mostly regarding the parks, is scrolling those old message boards on my family desktop, watching those old grainy YouTube videos from 2007 and 2008 of secrets that Disney doesn't want you to know, hidden details in the Disney parks. There was this entire second layer of story behind the story that you were being told. Yes, you had your audio animatronics and your special effects and your sound design, but what you also had was something that was very unique to pre-internet and early internet times: urban legends and stories, second-hand accounts of weird things that happened at the Disney parks. This is back when, for lack of a better term, Disney was a bit weirder. You know, not everybody had a YouTube channel or a bunch of books on their shelves I'm looking at right now that would tell you everything you wanted to know about the history of Disney, about how these effects were pulled off, and all these different little intricate stories that were woven in and out of these lands. Instead, it was usually just up to you and your group of friends, anybody you could find on these message boards, to help spread these stories. And sometimes the stories would get spread a little too thin, a little too crazily, and would become something else entirely. One of my favorite little subgenres in the early Disney internet were the abandoned locations and abandoned attractions. Like, you can see Discovery Island in this footage. Now, Walt Disney World has a lot of abandoned locations. Like, yeah, Discovery Island, but you also have Reflections, which was River Country and then got abandoned again after they started building Reflections. And then you got Disney Quest, obviously, turning into the NBA Experience, which we all know how that went. Good work on that one. And while we will get to Disney World here in a moment, I do want to start in Anaheim, California at Disneyland. See, with Disneyland, you know, you don't have a lot of space to build attractions or backstage or restaurants or walkways or any of the above, so you do have to get creative. Such is the case for the old attraction that destroyed the People Mover, the Rocket Rods in Tomorrowland. Or at least its queue. The actual ride itself was on the People Mover track. Destroyed it completely. Never to be usable again, but I digress. We're not talking about the People Mover in this video, we're talking about the queue for the Rocket Rods. Now, the entrance used to be located across the avenue from Star Tours in what is today the building for Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters. And so you think to yourself, well, it was a People Mover style attraction, they probably just used the queue that is there today that, you know, got the job done. But no, you would be wrong. Now you can see from this image projected onto the green screen that the queue facade was basically the same. They just replaced the lettering. This whole sort of fusion, you know, Tesla coil thing going up, that's all the same. The differences began when you actually went inside, okay? The inside was completely different, and it was actually pretty cool. It's sort of an homage to old Tomorrowland, and yes, to the ride that the Rocket Rods ended up killing. The People Mover. Now, funny thing is, you would enter the Rocket Rods queue the very same way you enter the Buzz Lightyear queue nowadays. You have the, you know, the switchbacks outside before going in through the door, but when you went through the door, things began to change. Because you see, my friends, before the Rocket Rods queue was in that building, it was instead a Circle Vision 360 film called America the Beautiful. Circle Vision films were a big room with a full 360-degree screen that you can only really find at the second best Disney park of all time, Epcot, these days, with Canada Far and Wide and Reflections of China. But believe me when I tell you Disney used to love these things. They used to be absolutely everywhere. The parks would be chock full of them. And you used to actually pass through the old America the Beautiful Circle Vision Theater on your way to your Rocket Rod. Except instead of being the main attraction this time, instead it was just to keep guests distracted while they waited. And it would show a very short film on the history of transportation, because the Rocket Rods were supposedly the future of transportation. Even though, if you ask me, I think the old People Mover would be a better form. But you know, who's to say? I may or may not have a bias. It remains to be seen. But the most interesting part of the queue, for me at least, was before the Circle Vision Theater. You would pass through different rooms that were almost sort of like a Tomorrowland museum. You'd pass by old Rocket Jets ride vehicles, old space-mounted rockets, and yes, even a couple of People Mover cars. And the part that I think was actually kind of the most impressive was the front of a Mark III monorail in the queue. Okay, that's awesome. And part of me finds it just so incredibly ironic and almost sort of poetic in a way that the queue for this attraction that ended up breaking one of the most important pieces of Tomorrowland to never be able to be used ever again was meant to pay respect and homage to the history and the future even of Tomorrowland. I think that's actually kind of hilarious when you think about it. Way to go, Rocket Rods. You certainly did. You certainly did do it. But here's where things get a little bit crazy. We're gonna shift gears a little bit. When I say underground tunnels, odds are you think of the utilidors at Walt Disney World. There they are, right there. How cool are they? They let cast members get to and from different areas in the park without having to go up and cross over the park lands, you know, where the guests are. At Disneyland, there are no utilidors. Utilidors aren't planned for Disneyland, but there is one specific corridor in Tomorrowland that I want to talk about, because it's sort of like a proto-utilidor that used to be used for the Rocket Rod's queue. Believe it or not! Behind a nondescript door in Tomorrowland, I'm not going to say which one, because it's a secret door. You're not supposed to know about it. There is a staircase that goes down into the depths of Tomorrowland. And by the depths, I mean maybe like 7 feet down. It's not too deep. You descend down into a seemingly unthemed walkway tunnel underneath Tomorrowland that used to be part of the Rocket Rod's queue, or at least that's what I was told. I'm assuming you would have to go underground just a little bit to get across that main esplanade of Tomorrowland to get to where the former People Mover loading station is, from where the Rocket Rod's, today the Astro Blasters queue, is located. That would, that makes sense to me. But now you know, if anybody ever says, well, there are tunnels at Walt Disney World, but if you think there are tunnels at Disneyland, you are just wrong, and you are also stupid. You can tell them that they are the ones who are wrong and stupid, because there is a tunnel at Disneyland. Just one, though. Just the one. Unless... No, there's just one. Maybe. I mean, I can picture it now. The dark, damp corridors, the dripping of water from some unfixed pipe over there in the corner that hasn't been touched since 1955, and the smell of mildew and mold seeping in through your nostrils. All of those sound kind of appealing, minus the mold, but you might want to get rid of that scent down there. And luckily for us and you, Disneyland, our sponsor can help with that. That's right, it's the Magic Candle Company. Again, they're back. Listen, I'm just gonna cut straight to the chase here, right? You're all smart people. I'm assuming you know that Magic Candle Company has the best scents inspired by your favorite Disney attractions and resorts in the entire world, the entire universe, all of the multiverse. Wait, why was there brown stuff flowing into the water at that last part? Never mind that, who cares? If you don't like candles though, they also have wax melts, hand sanitizers, room sprays, and even oils that smell like the Haunted Mansion. How do they do it? Do they just go to the Haunted Mansion and squeeze it really hard? I don't know. If you're interested in making your home, office, or yes, even bathtub smell like your favorite Disney resorts, remember to go to themagiccandlecompany.com and use offer code OFFHAND at checkout to get 15% off of your entire order. The whole thing. Okay, yeah, you know what? I really like that Polynesian clip a lot better. There wasn't any mysterious brown liquid being injected into crystal clear water. That was great. It was really relaxing. Hey, are you the announcer for this ad? What? Are you the announcer for this ad? No. Awesome, so you can keep your mouth closed and let me do all the talking, because this is literally my job, okay? Great. Okay, moving on. Remember everybody, one more time, that's offer code OFFHAND at the Magic Candle Company to get 15% off of your entire order. And once again, a very, very big thank you to the Magic Candle Company for sponsoring this video. Now, back to the investigation. I had done all of my talking about the Rocket Rod's queue and the Disneyland Utilidor that is just a really small tunnel. But then there was something else, something new, something different popped up in my search for these abandoned Disney attractions. One that I've never heard of before. Hiding, believe it or not, in plain sight on the list of canceled Disney parks attractions page on Wikipedia. You know, it's always fun to browse Wikipedia because sometimes their sources are just completely zany and wacky, and sometimes they don't even exist anymore. And actually, in this case, yeah, that was true. Although I think in order to get the full story, we should start from the beginning. And now, my friends, what would a fun discussion of these things Disney doesn't want you to know about, these secrets that Disney has been keeping from you, be without talking about unbuilt attractions at Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Hong Kong, Euro Disneyland, Tokyo Disneyland, all of the Disneylands all over the world. But this time we're going to Epcot because I haven't talked about Epcot at all in a while, and I'm starting to get withdrawals. So we need to go talk about Epcot. We need to talk about something there. We've talked about Fuji Coaster. We've mentioned the Russia Pavilion, but how about something in Japan that's not the Fuji Coaster, but was sort of inspired by the Fuji Coaster and would go on to inspire another attraction at a different park a little bit down the road. That's right. I had to pull together all of my investigative knowledge for this one because the mentions of this online are few and far between. There's a site that lists this as a canceled attraction, and it's even referenced actually on the Wikipedia article of canceled Disney attractions, although when you visit it now on the Wayback Machine, nothing appears talking about this ride. So was this attraction ever actually planned? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. That's the beauty of it being an internet mystery. That's right, we're at the desk now because this is investigative journalism. We gotta be at the desk. That's exactly what this is. So when the original Japan Pavilion was being planned for Epcot, there were multiple attractions that were going to be included, rather than just the zero that they ended up including at the end of the day. Yeah, you were going to have your Fuji Coaster, but there was also going to be a bullet train simulator ride. Now, this ride would have been very similar to, say, the pre-show of Rise of the Resistance. You would get on a bullet train, and it would jostle you around with screens 360 degrees around you, showing you the landscape and the countryside of Japan. It was sort of like a very chill simulator. There are also rumors online of a very unique take on this bullet train, one that's a bit more thrilling, a bit more terrifying, and it stars one of Japan's biggest icons. That's right, the man himself, Godzilla. Big lizard guy. That's him. Now, I assume this is an idea that followed the original pitch for the bullet train ride. Maybe the Imagineers thought, oh, you know, it's too peaceful. Maybe we need some more of a thrill aspect to it. Maybe the bullet train is attacked by Godzilla. Fine. I can't find any concept art or anything regarding this Godzilla overlay of the bullet train ride, just for the bullet train ride itself. So did it actually exist? Well, it's on Wikipedia. Yeah, obviously. The entry says it's similar to both the Mount Fuji and bullet train ideas. So was it going to be a physical roller coaster similar to, say, like the Matterhorn going down Mount Fuji and then Godzilla pops up for some reason? I don't know. Maybe he's on vacation. Maybe he's wearing some really cool shades. Or was it a more intense version of the bullet train attraction? Still the same sort of simulator where you go through the countryside of Japan, but then the jostling is a little bit more intense. It's a little bit scarier. You're being attacked by a giant lizard guy. But then there's also this sort of weird second version of the ride that's more of a roller coaster where you do get on a bullet train, but the bullet train is like the roller coaster cars, and then Godzilla attacks you and you have to get away from Godzilla, I'm assuming, which allegedly would go on to inspire Expedition Everest over at Animal Kingdom. I don't think this is true. Although a combination of the Mount Fuji roller coaster that we were supposed to get, which was sort of almost modeled after the Matterhorn at Disneyland, mixed with Expedition Everest at Animal Kingdom, which was also sort of, you know, in a way, if you squint really hard, also inspired by the Matterhorn at Disneyland. You know, they're both mountains, they both got Yetis, they were both roller coasters. Those are three similarities. It sounds really cool, but yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna come right out and say, I don't think this was ever planned. Maybe it was. But the only articles I can see talking about this online are referencing that one website that does not have any references to it, at least anymore. No concept art or quotes from the Imagineers are present unless it's in some sort of, you know, Universal documentary of them talking about the Kong segment of the tram ride, which this allegedly helped inspire. And I mean, King Kong Encounter was added to the backlot tour at Universal Studios in 1986, which is 4 years after the opening of Epcot, so I suppose the timeline, you know, does line up. The website that Wikipedia uses as a reference for this is the Neverland Files, which was built and operated by Cole Younger. I've tried to find him online. I can't seem to pin him down anywhere. He was the sort of curator of this website. He helped put it together, gathered all the information, but maybe Cole Younger wasn't his real name. Maybe Cole Younger was a pseudonym. That's where I was at this point, at least. And this post on the Mice Chat forums from Man-Eating Wreath, great reference by the way, says that the moderator, I assume Cole Younger in this case, was offered a job at WDI and he obviously couldn't keep the website going if he was a man on the inside. They didn't want any, sensitive information leaking out. Look at that brand new Buena Vista Street. Shame if that leaked out to the public. As far back as I can go, it says that the website started around 2008 and the latest it went, the latest sort of screenshot that I can find on the Wayback Machine for Neverland Files is July 22nd, 2013. Just to give you sort of a time frame here. That's 10 years ago. Oh my. So the Neverland Files shut down. You cannot access it today unless you go onto the Wayback Machine. That's the only sort of reference where I can find, at least, the original sort of mention of this attraction. There was, however, a very old email attached to the Neverland Files website, and I decided to put a figurative message in a bottle and send it out there into the internet to see if Cole would respond. And I actually got a response that may solve this entire mystery once and for all. It doesn't. Cole actually emailed me back and told me that they have no recollection of a Godzilla ride mentioned anywhere at any time ever. So this entire thing might just be built completely on a lie, but Cole actually did, like the forum post before mentioned, go on to work at WDI as a creative designer, which is huge. So if anybody would know about this Godzilla bullet train attraction, it would be Cole. And since Cole doesn't have any recollection and probably just straight up debunked the fact that this ever existed, I don't think the Godzilla ride was ever real in the first place. It just sort of piggybacked off the back of the existing bullet train simulator. Wikipedia, my friends, gonna have to update that article. This myth has been busted. But that's the beauty of the internet. Sometimes stuff is wrong. Sometimes stuff just never happened. And I'm here to spread the truth. The truth that Godzilla was never. Get out of here. You were never part of it. What were we talking about? But I think this whole investigative arc is over. I think we solved the mystery of whether the Godzilla ride existed or not. It did not. So I suppose we can leave the investigative desk and go back to our regularly scheduled Disney video. Anybody got any more mysteries for me to solve? I'm free. I got a lot of time on my hands here. Seriously, if you have any unsolved Disney mysteries, please reach out to me through either email or in the comments, because it was really fun talking about this non-existent Godzilla attraction. But I suppose at the end of the day, that's what it is, a mystery. We will never know if there's hidden concept art or even just a write-up of a missing legendary Godzilla attraction for Epcot, filed away in some dark, decrepit old file cabinet sitting in the corner of an office at WDI that hasn't been opened in years. There's no way to know. Unless. Hello everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. It started off as something almost entirely different, and then halfway through production and development, I really wanted to just focus in on this Godzilla attraction and the Utilidor underneath Tomorrowland. It's just one tunnel. Okay, I hesitate to call it a Utilidor because it's really not. It's really just a tunnel underneath that Tomorrowland Avenue, but I mean, it's a tunnel at a Disney park. So does it earn the title of honorary Utilidor? That's up to you. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the like button, and if you're new around here, you want me solving more Disney mysteries in the future, if you would consider this solving a Disney mystery, please hit the subscribe button. There's more videos like this in the pipeline that I really want to make. A very big thank you, as always, to my supporters over at patreon.com/offhanddisney. They help keep this channel chugging along. They help keep it alive and moving, and help, it lets me get into the parks. They let me do what I love day after day, year after year. So a very big thank you to them. If you want to join their ranks, head over to the link in the description down below. Even just $1 a month will get you access to most of the perks, okay? There are some Patreon exclusive whole videos coming soon. I have them planned in my cranium, in my brain. And you can follow me on my other social media accounts. I am on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Offhand Disney, on all of those locations, just to make it easier for you. I'm just Offhand Disney, okay? That's all I am. Except on Instagram, there's a dot in between Offhand and Disney, but that doesn't matter. We don't talk about that. Everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you all next week, when I might take the first half of this video that was sort of scrapped and make that its own video for next week. We'll see what happens. I'll talk with you about it then, okay? We'll talk next week. Goodbye.